Dear viewers of the Tom Photo channel, the Fujifilm X10 is among my favorite cameras of all time. I've covered it in several videos, but as some of my valued viewers have pointed out, I have never talked about the X10 settings that I prefer to use. Let's fix this today and actually look at the camera menu too. I cannot talk about everything in one video, so let me focus on what I actually use. The button dial on top has a few options. In my everyday photography, I almost exclusively use the A mode or perhaps the EXR mode. The EXR mode is a very special mode, largely specific to this particular model. I have covered it in depth in another video. Please check it out down in the text box. The A mode is my preferred mode. You use the dial to change the f-stop. I use the S mode for faster moving objects. There I turn the dial to change the shutter speed. The P mode is a semi-automatic mode with programmed settings that select both the shutter speed and the f-stop for you. It's nice to have, but I don't use it very often. The manual mode or the M mode is great for many situations, especially when photographing from a tripod and taking time to think about the photo. In this mode, the dial will change the f-stop and the stop command dial will change the shutter speed. The camera icon will get you into a full automatic mode, useful when you hand your camera to someone who has little photography knowledge. The SB option is the portrait mode, designed for preserving skin tones. The C1 and C2 are for storing custom settings so that you could access them faster. The ADV option will enable several advanced artistic filter options and panorama. The ADV option will be the topic of my next X10 video, so please stay tuned. The exposure compensation button is what I use more than anything else. Many photos will benefit from exposure correction, or at least it is a good idea to experiment with different values. I'm glad this button is so prominent and easy to use. Press the menu and a very nice, rather elaborate but very much to the point menu will open. The most important settings are under the camera icon. First is ISO. With the small sensor the X10 has, you really want to use the lowest ISO you can. For best results, I try to stay at 200 and not much higher. This is possible when the scene is bright, or you use wide apertures, or when you shoot from the tripod, or you don't want to use dynamic range setting over 200%. Instead of fixing the ISO, you can set the highest limit. I typically set the auto ISO at 800 or perhaps 1600 and avoid 3200. Image size is best set at large and 4:3. This is the largest setting and will give you a 12 megapixel image, which is actually small by today's standards. However, on the camera, the file size comes with a major twist. When you select the medium size or the 6 megapixel option, the camera will switch to a higher dynamic range mode and your image quality will improve. Once again, please check out my X10 EXR video linked below, where I go into this aspect in depth. A short summary now is that you may actually prefer the 6 megapixel option in some situations because it can get you pretty amazing results. The next menu item is image quality. Always select fine. I don't know why you'd want to choose otherwise. The X10 will let you choose dynamic range of 100%, 200% and 400%. I've covered this in my X10 EXR video and also in a separate Fujifilm dynamic range settings video. The links are down below for you. My most typical setting is 200%, and this means that I have to use ISO of at least 200. I might also use other settings in special situations. 100% when higher contrast is needed, and 400% when the photo contains tonal extremes such as dark forest and bright clouds. The X10 has limited options when it comes to film simulations. I've covered the main film simulations in a special video, the link is below. I find that with this camera I use mostly only two simulations, Standard and Velvia. Standard may sound boring at first, but it covers over 90% of the situations for me. It is so versatile and great. Velvia is for the other 10% or so, flowers and other impressionistic situations. White balance shift. In most situations, I just ignore this setting. However, when you feel creative and want to deviate in certain directions with the color, feel free to experiment with the settings. This is very much a personal preference. I have very seldom changed these settings because I do this in post-processing. The color setting lets you up or down the color. I might sometimes add more color to the standard film simulation by going to +1, or decrease the color of Velvia by going to -1. You see, with Velvia, I might use the -1 to calm down the colors a little bit. My sharpness is always at standard. If anything, maybe consider medium soft. I'd not let the camera to over-sharpen because this cannot be reversed in post-processing without side effects, and modern software tools such as GIMP are very good at sharpening. The next two options are highlight and shadow tone. Yes, you guessed it right. I have produced a special video on that too, and the link is down below for you. But briefly, this is a setting I change pretty often as the situation demands. Together, these settings change the tonal curve. They are related to dynamic range. With large contrast, I might like to flatten the curve and go with shadow tone -1 and highlight tone -1. Note that this will reduce the contrast. My noise reduction is standard. I very rarely change this setting. In bright conditions, you may want to experiment with reduced noise reduction, and in low light conditions with high ISO, test what the increased noise reduction can do for you. Face detection is a very nice feature when photographing people. I'm not saying this feature is very advanced here, but it can improve your people photography. Turn it off though when not photographing people, because it will think that every rock is a face. I have programmed my function button to turn on and off face detection on demand. To program the function button, hold it down for 2 seconds. The autofocus mode offers multi, area, and tracking. My default is area. This means that the focus area is right in the middle of the frame. You cannot change where it is, so I use the focus and recompose method with this camera. However, when you switch to multi, the camera will focus on the closest object. This way you can focus without recomposing. I don't use the tracking option for photography. I don't trust this with even more advanced cameras. The focusing is related to the focus mode button on the camera. I have this set at AFS or autofocus single. This way I know that once I've focused and pressed the shutter button halfway, the focus is fixed and the way I want it. Manual focusing is possible and especially useful for macro photography from the tripod. And yes, this is covered in depth in another X10 video of mine as well. The flash menu enables increasing or decreasing the flash strength. Built-in flashes are usually weak and the X10 is no exception. So my default setting is +2/3 or the maximum setting. When I unexpectedly need flash, I'm likely to need it as strong as possible. Turn the external flash on when you use the external flash. But check out my external flash video to learn why and when a retro flash could damage your camera. The next menu option is Custom Set C1 and C2. This is a way to save your custom settings under the function dial positions C1 and C2. This is it for the camera icon menu. The wrench menu offers more options. They are mostly self-explanatory, but I'd like to mention some things here. The silent mode is nice when you photograph a quiet event. I don't use it because I like to receive an audible confirmation that the photo was taken. Reset is a way to return to the default values when settings get complicated and you need to start from the beginning. Format will format your memory card. I find it's a good idea to have your camera do it rather than the computer. I do it every once in a while. My image display is set at 3 seconds. Frame numbering is continuous. I turn the operation volume to off, otherwise it gets too annoying. Shutter volume is at low, not off, because I need that confirmation when I press the shutter release. My favorite shutter sound is sound 2. Playback volume is the default. It only matters when you use the X10 for video. I have covered the X10 video aspects in the corresponding video. The link is below. My LCD brightness is 0, auto power off is 2 minutes, quick start mode is off, the IS or image stabilization mode is option 1, which is the continuous plus motion. I recommend turning off the image stabilization when shooting from a tripod with self-timer. My red eye removal is off because I've removed red eyes in post-processing when needed. The AF illuminator is on. My auto exposure / autofocus mode, or the AE/AF lock mode, is P, meaning that the auto exposure and or autofocus are locked when holding down the AEL/AFL button. The S mode would make this button switch between the lock and unlock of autofocus and or auto exposure. Whether it applies to auto exposure, autofocus, or both is determined by the next menu item, which is the AE/AF lock button. AE/AF lock button chooses if only exposure, only focus, or both are locked when pressing the AEL/AFL button. I use the AF lock only. This means that when I press it, it will freeze the autofocus but not auto exposure. So when I recompose, I still get the correct metering. The X10 RAW files are something I'm going to cover in a future video. Due to the sensor architecture, the X10 RAW files are tricky to use with some software packages, and the RAW editors tend to use them as 6 megapixel images, no matter what your settings. I personally use X10 almost exclusively for JPEG, and so I have the RAW option turned off. However, please stay tuned and I will cover the RAW peculiarities in a future video. My focus check option is turned on. This means that image will be magnified in the display to assist focus when the subcommand dial is rotated in manual focus mode. The focus control dial is set to clockwise. Since I think in meters, I like to have focus scale units in meters. If I use the framing guideline, it will be the 9 frame option. My color space is sRGB. I have Save Original Image turned off for all options. Auto Rotate PB is on. This rotates portrait orientation pictures for you during playback. The background color of my screen is black because it makes the most sense. The guidance display is on. It's the default and I never turn it off. Video system is PAL because it works better for Europe. It might also offer a slightly better quality. Choose PAL is my recommendation. I like my power management at Power Save. This is a summary of my most typical X10 settings. Note that this is only a starting point for me. I frequently modify all kinds of settings during photography because the conditions always change. There are some functions of X10 I have not covered in any of my special videos yet. However, this is changing as I'm producing more videos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I could bring some value to you. I'll be flattered if you consider subscribing to my channel and leaving a like. See you again soon. Enjoy using your Fuji X10. Goodbye.